Detective Inspector William Clegg is no stranger to the courts. He's often appeared in the witness box giving evidence for the prosecution, but today in the Fulchester Crown Court, the tables are turned. It is Detective Inspector Clegg himself who is the accused. He stands charged with obtaining money from police funds by deception. The charge arises from the diligence of Inspector Deakin, a colleague of Clegg's, who spotted the alleged discrepancies. In fact, all the witnesses for the prosecution are William Clegg's own colleagues, officers of Fulchester Police Force K Division, men with whom William Clegg has worked in the past, and who have not only been colleagues, but also close friends. These officers are well acquainted with the courts and their procedure, and in the case of the Queen against Clegg, they will be more than usually on their mettle, for Detective Inspector Clegg is no ordinary police officer.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Inspector Charles Deakin, K Division, Fulchester Police Force.
Inspector Deakin.
Sir.
You are the administrative officer of K Division, Fulchester Police Force.
Yes, sir.
Would you tell the court briefly what this entails?
I'm directly responsible to my divisional superintendent for what you might call the smooth running of the divisional machine. Operations are planned by others. I make sure that the resources to carry them out are available and in good order.
Resources of men and materials?
Yes, sir.
From a paperclip to a deep-sea diver?
I have provided both, sir.
But not finances?
No, sir.
But you do have certain responsibilities where finances are concerned?
I keep a check on divisional accounts.
Are you also a qualified accountant, Inspector?
No, my lord. Just a bit of bookkeeping picked up at school.
Yes, is that sufficient for auditing public accounts?
My lord, with your permission.
By all means, Mr. Logan.
These accounts, Inspector Deakin, are solely for payments in cash authorised within the division.
Yes, sir. Travelling expenses, that sort of thing.
Yes, will you tell the court exactly how such payments are made and checked?
Yes, sir. The senior officer of each section authorises payments. The head of divisional CID, for instance, has to check every expense sheet put in by his detectives. At the end of each month, I check the sheets for accuracy. Every 6 months, they are audited by an outside firm.
Who are qualified accountants?
Yes, my lord.
Thank you.
Yes, I want to refer to a particular occasion when you carried out this task at the end of February last. Do you remember that occasion?
Very well indeed, sir. I was totting up an expense sheet for one of our detective officers.
Yes, one moment. The officer you referred to, would that be Detective Inspector William James Clegg, who is in court today?
Yes, sir. The accused.
And you're acquainted with Mr. Clegg?
We have known each other for about 7 years.
Yes, do continue, Inspector. You were totting up your colleague's expense sheet when you came across a procedural error. What did you do? What was this?
He put in a 24-hour away allowance claim for the 16th to the 17th of February.
Before you go on, would you explain to the court the nature of these away allowances?
Oh, yes, sir. Well, detective officers, by their nature, necessarily are often away from base, away from home. At such times, they are entitled to subsistence allowance.
And it was such an allowance that Detective Inspector Clegg claimed for the 24 hours that he was away from the 16th to the 17th of February.
Yes, sir.
And which you considered to be in error.
Yes, sir.
Why?
Because he wasn't away on those dates.
How can you be so sure?
Because I had a diary note made on the evening of the 16th that I had had words with him on his own doorstep.
Yes, now will you look at the agreed bundle of expense sheets? Can you see the entry you're referring to?
Yes, sir. Page 28.
Yes, thank you. Now, Inspector Deakin, what did you do when you discovered this apparent discrepancy?
Oh, I put the whole of Inspector Clegg's expense sheets on one side for a second look at them later.
And when did you return to them for this second look?
Following day.
That would be the 1st of March?
2nd of March, sir.
Ah.
The routine check was made on the 1st of March. That's after the whole of the previous month's accounts were in. The particular check that I made on Inspector Clegg's sheets was on the 2nd of March.
And what did you discover on that occasion?
Well, there were 3 further items about which I had my doubts.
Could you explain?
Well, there were 2 more away claims for the 5th, 6th February and the 20th, 21st. To the best of my knowledge, Inspector Clegg wasn't away on either of those dates.
Yes.
There was also a hotel bill, the total of which does not accord with my knowledge of the class of hotel in question. £6 for one night. It's down there for the 2nd of February.
Is that excessive?
It is for a police officer, my lord.
Oh. Carry on, Mr. Logan.
So that makes 4 items on 1 month's expense sheets that you considered were open to question. What did you do about this?
I asked for an interview with my divisional superintendent and took Inspector Clegg's sheets along with me.
A moment, members of the jury, before we pass on, I think I should like to explain to you that these expense sheets are agreed both by the prosecution and by the defence. Their authenticity is not in question, though it is open to the defence to challenge any interpretation that the prosecution may attempt to put upon them. Very well, Mr. Logan.
Thank you, my lord. Now, as a result of the report you made, what happened?
The senior detective officer was appointed to make further investigation.
And your part in this affair then came to an end?
That is correct, sir.
Thank you, Inspector.
Inspector Deacon, as I understand your part in this affair, it would appear that all you did was to turn up certain errors in one of your colleagues' expense sheets, which you then reported to your senior officer.
That's it, sir.
But is it? I mean, is that all?
I'm not sure that I understand, sir.
Well, here's a colleague whom you've known for several years, in the same division for almost 2 years, who makes some errors in his accounts, gets his sums wrong, maybe gets his dates wrong, and you straight away carry the tale to your chief.
It was the proper thing to do, sir.
It was the proper thing, yes, but was it the natural thing?
Sir?
Well, why not go to your colleague and say, look, George or Tom or Harry, I think you've made a muck-up of this. Let me help you to sort it out.
I might have done that, sir.
Yes, you might have done that. With George or Tom or Harry, but not with Bill. Not with Bill Clegg.
I don't follow you, sir.
I'm not trying to lead you anywhere, Inspector. You say that you are certain Detective Inspector Clegg was not away on the 16th because on that date you had words with him on his own doorstep.
That is true, sir.
Those words, what were they?
I can't exactly say.
Well, they must have been more than good evening to be worth noting in your diary.
Yes, sir.
What evening was it?
Early evening, about 6:30.
About 6:30. You say you had words.
That is correct.
To have words does not mean to converse or to pass the time of day. It means to quarrel. Is that not so, Inspector?
I'm not an expert on linguistics,
Is
sir.
that not so, Inspector?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And you did, in fact, quarrel with the defendant, and in the course of that quarrel, he knocked you down.
No, sir.
You were seen to be flat on the floor, Inspector. You say you were not knocked down.
Mr. Clegg might have brushed into me and I might have tripped. I can't exactly remember.
But you do remember the unpleasantness that occurred. I suggest it was very much in your mind when you next came to examine the defendant's expense sheets.
Not very much.
I suggest that you were, in fact, looking for any minor errors of detail which you could use as a stick to belabor the defendant.
No, sir.
And I suggest that in your diligence to enlarge upon those minor errors, you failed to see the simplest of explanations for them.
Sir?
Inspector Clegg claimed that he was away from home for 24 hours from the 16th of February to the 17th of February.
He did.
And you were quite sure that he was wrong because you had words with him at 6:30 on the 16th of February.
Quite certain, sir.
He could have easily been away from 9 p.m. on the 16th for 24 hours to 9 p.m. on the 17th, but you won't allow that possibility.
He could have been away, yes.
Thank you.
But he wasn't.
Oh?
At 5:30 p.m. on the 17th, sir, opening time, he was in the clubroom of Divisional HQ with all the senior officers, wetting the head of the Chief Superintendent's first grandchild.
Is that right? Oh, I see. Thank you.
Inspector Deakin, your action in reporting that you'd found a number of disturbing errors in a detective's expense sheets was perfectly proper, was it not?
Yes, sir.
It was your duty to do so.
Yes, sir.
And you'd have done the same no matter what your personal feelings were towards the officer in question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Inspector. I have no further re-examination, my lord.
And nothing but the truth. Detective Chief Inspector Lewis, Fulchester CID.
Mr. Lewis, you are a detective chief inspector.
Right, sir.
That's one step up from a detective inspector?
Right again, sir.
Yes, now I want to refer you to certain events which took place commencing on the 2nd of March of this year. Now, on that date, you were called to a conference with the Divisional Chief Superintendent and the head of Divisional CID. What was the purpose of this conference?
From when I was called in?
Yes.
Yeah, I was given a dossier. Jack Walker handed it to
So
me.
that is Detective Superintendent Walker.
Yes, head of CID and one step up from me. He said, we've got a right mucking mess for you to sort out, Ted. Or something like that.
And what was this mess?
There was a possibility from the notes in front of us that Detective Inspector Clegg had been regularly overdrawing on his expense sheets.
You say a possibility.
He was given the benefit of the doubt, sir, same as any other suspect.
And you were instructed to question him.
I was, sir.
Why?
Well, we're old friends, Bill Clegg and I. He wouldn't lie to me.
I see.
Yeah, likewise, I wouldn't let him off the hook if he did try to lie.
That's quite so. Now, you were given your instructions, the conference broke up, and what happened then?
Well, I spent the rest of that day familiarising myself with the contents of the dossier.
And the following morning, the 3rd of March?
I sent for Detective Inspector Clegg.
You sent for him?
Yes, sir.
Go on.
I did make a note of the interview immediately afterwards, if I might just refresh my memory.
And did Inspector Clegg make up his notebook at the same time?
My lord?
Oh, it's not important, just my own twisted curiosity. You may refer to your notes.
Well, I didn't pull any punches, my lord. As soon as he came in, I laid his money sheets out in front of him and told him he had a lot of explaining to do. Asked him what he had to say.
And how did he account for the items challenged?
Well, there were a lot of them. 4 which Inspector Deakin turned up from last February's expense sheets, and 54 more starting from May the previous year. Shall I go through each one in detail?
Yes, Mr. Fry?
My Lord, it may save time if I say now that the errors themselves were not disputed. What is disputed is the prosecution's suggestion that these errors were deliberate.
What do you say to that, Mr. Logan?
Well, there is a schedule of false claims, my lord, and it will save time, as my learned friend suggests, if this witness is allowed to deal with the schedule as a whole.
Yes, I see no reason why not. These are the items on which you challenged the defendant.
Yes, my lord.
Will you look at them carefully, please, Inspector?
Yeah, these are the ones, all right, sir. I went through them often enough.
And each time you challenged them, how did the defendant respond?
He coughed.
He what?
He admitted the mistakes.
In what terms?
Well, but he wasn't surprised, just upset. He expressed himself quite vehemently.
How?
Well, what he said was, Ted, I knew this sodding desk work would break me one day. With apologies, my lord.
As you know, officer, we grow accustomed to these things in the courts. On you go, Mr. Logan.
You took the defendant's vehement remark to be an admission.
Of errors, sir? Yes, sir.
Very well. Having obtained this admission, what did you do?
Well, I reported back to my superiors. I was told that Inspector Clegg would be charged with obtaining money by deception. Well, you could have...
Thank you, Inspector. The charges were then made and Inspector Clegg was suspended from duty.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Lewis, I think you were going to say, when my learned friend went on to a further question, what was the effect on you of the decision to charge the defendant?
I was going to say, sir, that I was near bowled over.
Dumbfounded, flabbergasted, floored, any of those would describe your feelings.
Yeah, to put it mildly.
Why?
Well, Bill Clegg had been a fool, he'd been careless. He admitted himself that he kept forgetting what expenses he was entitled to, so he put down the nearest thing he could remember. From my investigation,
You concluded that these were errors of confusion, not of criminal intent.
That about sums it up, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, these errors of confusion, how many were there?
Well,
you have the schedule in front of you. How many separate items does it list?
There are 58, sir.
And what is the smallest amount of these errors?
Well, there's nothing under £2, sir.
And the largest amount?
It's £12.50, sir.
So the total is?
£237, sir.
Thank you, Inspector. Does your lordship have any questions?
No. Thank you, Inspector.
I call Detective Superintendent Jack Walker.
Detective Superintendent Jack Walker, please. I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Detective Superintendent Jack Walker, Fulchester CID.
Good morning, Superintendent.
Good morning, sir.
It's a distressing occasion for you particularly.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Logan, will you get on?
I beg your pardon, my lord, Mr. Walker and I are old friends and sometimes adversaries. Now, Superintendent, as a result of certain investigations carried out between the 1st and the 3rd of March of this year, a confidential report was submitted to you concerning one of your officers.
That is correct. Concerning Detective Inspector Clegg, the same William James Clegg whom I now see sitting in the dock.
And did that report contain the schedule of claims which the defendant admitted to be false?
Yes, sir, I think you have that schedule there.
Yes.
Inspector Clegg had made false expense claims to the tune of nearly £240. He had been interviewed by Chief Inspector Lewis and had told him that the false claims were all errors. However, I felt that what was laid before me was a prima facie case for Clegg to answer. I therefore give instructions for the charges to be brought.
Yes, Superintendent.
Sir.
Before you go any further, it might be as well, in the fashion of the day, to declare your interest. There is an element of personal feelings in this case, and a witness's hostile act has been deduced from his supposed ill will towards the defendant. Now, your decision to prefer charges could scarcely be due to any dislike or even lack of sympathy for William Jack Clegg, James Clegg.
No, sir.
Why not?
Well, we've worked together for long enough. When I was inspector, he was my sergeant. And when I pulled super in this division, I asked for him to be brought along as inspector. I have not a word to say against him.
And there is another reason why you might, if anything, be inclined in his favour, is there not?
Yes, sir. He is my son-in-law.
So 2 good reasons for giving him the benefit of the doubt, but nonetheless you felt you must prefer charges.
I had no option, sir. The police get exactly the same treatment as any member of the public in this respect.
It wasn't a case of bending backwards to show your impartiality.
No, sir. I don't need to do that.
Now, can you assist us with the background to all this, the sort of expenses that a detective can be expected to incur?
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, it's important to remember just how the detective officer works. He's on the job at all hours, dashing here, dashing there, keeping his head down, because he's got to. Now, he's not going to stop every 5 minutes in the middle of wherever it is to jot down 6p spent on bus fares or 50p for a taxi ride. And he can hardly wait for some dozy hotel receptionist to receipt his bill when the man he's interested in is already halfway round the corner. Am I going too fast, my lord?
I'm listening with fascination, Superintendent. How does a detective officer make up his expense sheet?
Well, he knows pretty well how much he's going to claim, which is usually less than what he spent. He knows the jobs he's been on, and there's a kind of logic, do you see, in the way that one fits the other. A kind of common sense, my lord.
And from your experience of 23 years as a detective officer, was this logic present in Inspector Clegg's claims?
No, sir.
You knew exactly what sort of jobs he'd been on?
I did.
And was there any relationship between those jobs and the sort of expenses that he had claimed in carrying them out?
No, sir.
Could he possibly have made that many journeys, or slept in that many strange beds, or drunk that many pints of beer?
Not a chance.
That was your inescapable conclusion, was it?
Regrettably, yes, sir.
Regrettable indeed, because in all other respects he was a first-rate officer.
A first-rate thief-catcher, sir.
You seem to make a distinction, Superintendent.
Yes, my lord. Well, there are some officers who can't hardly turn a corner without bumping into a thief. Inspector Clegg's one of those. If there's a villain about, Clegg will find him.
Well, isn't that good enough?
When the villains are about, my lord. But there's a great deal of painstaking work goes into finding them when they're not. Monotonous work. 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. But Inspector Clegg favours that the other way around.
You mean to imply that he is a lazy officer?
No, my lord, I do not mean that, certainly not. What I mean is he believes in following hunches, like 18 months ago.
Go on, Superintendent.
Well, about that time, my lord, we'd had a heavy team bothering us. Bank raiders. 1 job a month, lads, getting away with large amounts and not shy of a bit of violence either. I couldn't get a line on them anyhow. Then Bill Clegg came up with a lead. An informant. Ready and willing to give advance warning of the next bank raid.
Superintendent, is this something that the court should be hearing?
Oh, perfectly proper, my lord. No suggestion of setting the job up. However, I couldn't wear it.
Why not?
Well, there was nothing the informant had so far said to back up his yarn. Now, that's what I mean about Inspector Clegg. He was prepared to take it on trust, follow his nose, back his hunch. He didn't even know the informant's name, save that it was one Harry from the Smoke.
The jury might wish to know the meaning of the Smoke.
Yes, my lord. It's a thieves' slang for London.
And as much of a libel on that city as old Reekie is upon Edinburgh. Do go on, Mr. Logan.
Thank you, my lord. From what you've been telling his lordship about the defendant, would it be accurate to describe him as a somewhat unorthodox officer?
Yes, sir. But so is Chief Inspector Lewis. So am I. At least, that's what they say about me.
Thank you.
Superintendent.
Sir.
In your admirable explanation of the somewhat cavalier fashion in which a detective officer makes out his expense claims, you referred to a catalogue of items.
Did I, sir? I don't think so.
Oh, I beg your pardon. You responded to a suggestion put to you by my learned friend. He could not possibly have made that many journeys, slept in so many strange beds, drunk so many pints of beer.
Yes, sir. That catalogue of a detective's expenses was put to me.
Was there not one important item missing?
Is there, sir? Now, what would that be?
You referred later on to payments to informers.
Informants, we say, sir. Yes, I did refer to a request for payment by an informant. But I did not, however, say that he got anything. I should like to make it perfectly clear that I refused to authorize such payment.
Why?
Because I wasn't convinced the garden was worth twopence, far less the £250 asked for.
How much?
£250, my lord.
Yes, but that's near enough of the amount covered by the charges.
Yes, my lord.
Superintendent.
Yes, I'd just like to add something.
Never mind about that. I want to ask you, there is one aspect of this case that puzzles me. You say there is a kind of logic between the detective officer's expenses and the duties he performs.
Yes, sir, but it takes experience to see it.
And your experience told you that this logic was missing from Detective Inspector Clegg's expense claims.
It did.
After it had been brought to your notice.
Yes.
Well, why did you not see this absence of logic at the time you certified the expense claims?
Because you wouldn't notice the discrepancy in individual items.
But surely you will be on the alert for an accumulation of such discrepancies?
Well, to be perfectly frank, sir, it never occurred to me that anyone would try to fiddle his sheets for such paltry amounts.
Superintendent, no sum of money is too paltry to be worth the searching inquiry of a court of law.
No, sir. That's why we're all here, sir, isn't it?
Oh, what is that? But... Lord, I have no further questions for Superintendent Walker.
You wish to re-examine Mr. Logan?
Yes, I do, my lord. Superintendent, this coincidence referred to by his lordship, the £237 falsely claimed on the defendant's expenses and £250 that he wanted to give to the informant and which you refused. These two sums are remarkably close, are they not?
Yes, sir. They're near enough.
And when you interviewed the defendant, did you refer to this apparent coincidence?
I did not.
Did he volunteer any reference to it?
He did not.
Yes, could it be possible that the deficiency on the one hand could be accounted for by the proposed payment on the other?
It shouldn't be possible, sir.
Why not?
Because the informant's fund is kept strictly separate. Because no payments can be made from it without the extreme authority of a senior officer. Because payments made to an informant by any other means would be highly improper.
Indeed, but then you've agreed that Mr. Clegg is a highly unorthodox officer. I have no further questions, my lord.
The case of the Queen against Clegg will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. Detective Inspector William Clegg is no stranger to the courts. He's often appeared in the witness box giving evidence for the prosecution. But today, in the Fulchester Crown Court, the tables are turned. It is Detective Inspector Clegg himself who is the accused. He stands charged with obtaining money from police funds by deception. The charge arises from the diligence of Inspector Deakin, a colleague of Clegg's, who spotted the discrepancies. But it has been alleged that there is ill feeling between the two men. All the witnesses for the prosecution are William Clegg's own colleagues. Officers of Fulchester's Police Force K Division, men with whom William Clegg has worked in the past, men who are his close friends, and one of whom is his father-in-law. These officers are well acquainted with the courts and their procedure, and in the case of the Queen against Clegg, they are more than usually on their mettle, for Detective Inspector Clegg is, by the admission of his fellow officers, no ordinary policeman. The defence opens its case by calling the defendant William James Clegg to the witness box.
William James Clegg, 14 Spring Parade, Fulchester.
Mr. Clegg, you are in fact a detective officer of the Fulchester Police Force.
I'm on the strength, yes. I'm suspended until further notice.
And that suspension was a consequence of certain events which took place on the 3rd of March this year.
It was, yes.
Would you tell the court what you recall of those events, please?
Well, it all started when Ted Lewis asked to see me.
Asked to see you?
Well, it wasn't exactly a gold-edged invitation.
No, I don't suppose it was. Do you recall the nature of that request?
Yeah, as the message came to me, it was something like, tell that bonehead to get the urine out of his legs. I want to see him in my office.
Inspector Lewis is a close friend, I gather.
Well, he'd have to be to send me a message like that, my lord.
Was he equally forthright in the interview that followed?
Yeah, well, he spoke his mind. And I spoke mine.
What state of mind were you in?
I was angry.
With him?
No, with myself.
Why?
Well, Inspector Lewis pointed out certain discrepancies in my expense claims. I couldn't deny them, but I couldn't rightly explain them either.
Did you try to explain them?
Yeah, well, I went through all my records, both personal and official ones, but it was no good. Well, I've never been much of a one for keeping records.
Yes, you consider that to be an intrusion upon the more vital work of detecting crime?
Yes, as things stand, yes. I mean, if every detective had a secretary...
Yes, Mr. Clegg. I doubt if the Home Office, however, is likely to consider that recommendation.
After the interview with Inspector Lewis, what happened next?
My boss sent for me.
Your boss?
Yes, Detective Superintendent Walker.
Who is also your father-in-law. That must have been a rather distressing interview.
Well, there weren't many laughs in it.
What was his attitude? Sympathetic? Outraged? Indignant?
My lord, am I allowed to express...
Quite right, Mr. Clegg. Would you redirect your questioning, Mr. Fryer?
As you wish, my lord. Thank you, Mr. Clegg, for your vigilance. At any event, you can tell us what was the outcome of that interview.
Yes, I was charged with the presumed offences, relieved of my duties and told to go home.
By Superintendent Walker?
On his instructions, yes.
Now, throughout all this, did you raise any objection to this questioning of your expense claim?
No, sir.
Did you conceal any relevant information?
No, sir.
Did you, in fact, give every assistance in this unravelling this entanglement of trivia? 40 pence for lunches, 2.25 for bed and breakfast, 5-penny bus rides here, 2.5 telephone calls there.
Yes, I'm as anxious as anybody else to get the records straight, sir.
I'm sure you are, Inspector. Now, these errors first began to appear in March of 1973 and continued until Inspector Deakin began his ferreting operations at the end of February 1974. Tell me, Mr. Clegg, were you under considerable stress during that period?
Well, yes, I've had happier times.
Well, I'd like to examine the nature of that stress. It began with 2 different circumstances which occurred about the same time, did it not? And one of them was to do with promotion within your division. Would you tell the court about that?
Well, there was a vacancy for Chief Inspector. Ted Lewis there and I were running neck and neck for it. I thought I'd get it by a short nose because of my record for case busting, but Ted Lewis got it.
Did you feel any resentment towards him?
Towards Ted? No. Well, you can't, can you?
You were disturbed on another account, then?
Well, yes. I mean, there was never any official explanation given why I'd been passed over. I did hear, unofficially, though, that it was because I was too much of a loner, not enough of an organisation man. I mean, a very good inspector, but no good for anything else. No good ever.
You were told, in effect, that your promotion prospects had come to a halt.
Well, not in so many words, but...
But the red light was there.
Yes.
Now, did you confide in this to anybody?
Yes, I told my wife, but as it happened, she already knew.
No doubt there are advantages and disadvantages to marrying within the force. How did your wife respond to this limitation of your prospects?
Well, she was no happier than I was.
And 2 unhappy people hardly make for a happy marriage. I'd now like to go on to another promotion which occurred about the same time. A member of your force who had been a uniformed sergeant at the time when you were already an inspector was promoted and posted to your division as administrative officer. I'm referring, of course, to Inspector Deakin. Did you approve of his promotion?
Oh, it's not for me to approve or disapprove, sir.
Did it have any effect upon you?
Oh, yes.
Well, could you explain that?
Well, Inspector Deakin's a perfectionist and I'm not. Well, he likes things squared up. I don't. He was always on my back. This form needs filling up, that form needs doing in triplicate. I'm afraid I told him what he could do with his papers.
There were hard words between you?
From time to time, yes.
Well, I'd like to refer to one particular occasion, an occasion which later led to his conducting an inquiry into your expense claims, the 16th of February. Inspector Deakin has told the court that on that day he had words with you on your own doorstep. Do you recall that occasion?
Yeah.
Tell the court about it, would you?
Well, I live in a police house and so does he. They're next door to each other. I keep mine in fair enough trim, but it's not good enough for him. Well, I mean, as admin officer, he felt it his duty to point out where I was falling down in my requirements. He also felt it his duty to tell me wife where I was falling down in my responsibilities, so I told him that if he came round again bothering her, I'd thump him. Well, I've had enough trouble keeping things sweet at home without his interference.
Nevertheless, he did come round again on the 16th of February. What happened then?
Well, I'd just got home and there he was ringing the doorbell, so I said to him something like, I thought I'd told you not to come round here again, and then my wife opened the door and I made to go inside.
Yes?
Well, the next thing I knew, Inspector Deakin was lying flat on the ground.
Mr. Clegg, what exactly caused the flattening of Inspector Deakin?
No idea, sir. I just brushed past him.
Go on.
Well, then he fell on the ground, sir.
Was he off balance then?
No, I don't think so, my
I
lord.
mean, it's not usual to fall down when someone brushes past you.
No, my lord.
You didn't by any chance strike him, did you?
I may have waved my arm about a bit, my lord.
And he bumped into it. Yes, a not an unfamiliar occurrence from what one hears in the courts these days. Do go on, Mr. Fry.
Thank you, Lord. In any event, whether he fell or whether he was pushed, it was no surprise to you to find that it was he who triggered off the series of events which have led to your appearance
My
here.
lord, is that not an improper question?
Yes, I agree. Mr. Fry, I think we can leave the laws of causality to a higher court.
As your lordship wishes. If your lordship will let me deal with cause and effect only insofar as it relates to the defendant.
That would be perfectly proper.
I'm obliged to your lordship. Mr. Clegg, you have told us about the stresses that you were under during this period, the savage blow to your promotion prospects, the constant demands of a desk-bound perfectionist, the strain upon your marriage. Is it your contention that because of these strains you were constantly behind in keeping a day-to-day record of your expenses?
It is, yes.
You concede the possibility that when you later made up these expenses from memory, certain errors may have crept in.
Oh, yes, they very likely did, yes, sir.
But there is no doubt whatsoever that the totals claimed were the totals you were entitled to.
Oh, no doubt whatsoever, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Clegg.
Well, Mr. Clegg, I've no wish to dwell upon the emotional and occupational stresses that weighed upon you. They are, of course, not uncommon. Some of my colleagues have been waiting rather a long time for their elevation, and some of them will never achieve it. However, that does not prevent them from carrying out their proper duty in the meantime. Now, your proper duty was the detection of crime.
And its prevention,
Of
sir.
course, and it was also your duty, was it not, to keep accurate records of the tasks you were engaged on?
Yes, as far as time allowed, yes.
Records that should have included details of any money spent from your own pocket that you later wished to reclaim.
Yes, but I've already explained that I didn't always do it at the time, did I, I mean, when I did get to make it up, it was always reasonably accurate and certainly no more than I'd actually spent.
So you say.
Look, I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth. I mean, I did spend that much money, probably a lot more, I should think, and certainly on proper police duties.
I might even accept that.
What?
Well, perhaps you did spend that amount of money, but not all on out-of-pocket expenses, and not all in an authorised manner.
What else am I supposed to have spent it on?
What else indeed, Mr. Clegg? Well, we heard from Superintendent Walker that you submitted a proposition for paying out a large sum of money to an informant. Now, he refused to authorise that payment. Perhaps you went ahead and made that payment just the same.
How could I? Where would I got the money from?
Well, £250 is not such a large sum. You may have had that amount in your bank account, or perhaps you borrowed it.
But I didn't.
Did you pay such a sum to your mysterious informant?
The Lord, my friend, is introducing fresh prosecution evidence.
No, Mr. Fry, he's merely cross-examining as to motive. Go on, please, Mr. Logan.
Thank you, my Lord. Now, Mr. Clegg, we heard from Superintendent Walker of the run of bank raids that occurred in and around Fulchester. Now, you were very anxious to catch these raiders, were you not?
No more than any other villains.
Really? Well, these were dangerous, violent men. They got away with a lot of money. Tracking them down would be a feather in your cap. It might even win you that elusive promotion. Oh, you were very anxious to catch them, were you not?
So was every other detective in the force.
But you thought you had a lead on them.
Well, I had.
But Mr. Walker did not agree with you.
I could have been wrong.
And the only way you could prove him wrong was to take a chance on that informant with your own money. Did you take such a chance?
No.
I ask you again, Mr. Clegg, did you pay that informant out of your own money?
I did not, no.
Now, did you think that if somehow you obtained the sum of £250 and paid it out to Harry from the smoke and the bank raiders were caught, that you could later reclaim that money?
No.
Whereas, in fact, Harry from the smoke did not furnish the information. You were perhaps £250 the poorer. The bank raiders were never caught, and you couldn't even tell anybody without admitting your own folly.
There was nothing to tell. There was nothing I needed to tell.
Of course not. You could get the money back without telling, by cooking your expense sheets, falsifying them with intent. Whatever the motive, Mr. Clegg, you did obtain that money by a deception that was deliberate.
Mr. Clegg, is it a fact that at no time in your many years of service have you obtained one penny of public funds that you are not entitled to?
Never.
Is it a fact that you are more often out of pocket than in pocket?
I only wish I'd got all the money in the bank that I've spent on the job.
The words on the card.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You are Elizabeth Clegg.
Yes.
You are the wife of the defendant, William James Clegg.
Yes.
And you reside at Crossways, Manor Park Lane, Fulchester.
Yeah.
But that address is not the marital home.
No, I'm staying with my parents.
And when did you first go to stay with your parents, Mrs. Clegg?
Well, it must have been just after the middle of March, 20th, wasn't it? 21st. Yeah, that's right. It was the 21st, to remember it now.
And what was the reason for your leave for going to stay with your parents?
We agreed. We both agreed. Well, that is
Mrs. Clegg.
until... Yes, sir. Yes, my lord. Sorry, my lord.
Mrs. Clegg, what we would like you to do is to speak up so that everybody can hear you, particularly the jury. Oh. So would you please face them and speak up loudly and clearly so that they can hear at the end. Now, will you do that for us?
Yes, my lord.
Thank you.
Mrs. Clegg, we're only concerned here with your marital situation as it relates to the period between May 1973 and March 1974. Does that period have any significance for you?
In a way.
Well, could you tell the court about it, please?
To start with, Bill... Well, that's my husband. He had this disappointment over his promotion, not getting it. And, well, what made it worse was we both heard that there wasn't much chance in the future of his getting any.
And how did this affect him? Was he moody, irritable?
Oh, no, more puzzled. He kept asking why. I don't see it. I'm as good a Jack as any in the force, better than most.
Did this affect your relationship?
Well, no, he could be an inspector on the buses for all I care, but, well, it did cause a bit of an upset, and then there was the trouble about the money.
The money?
Well, yes, he was drawing out lots of money without telling me from our joint bank account. It was going to be our holiday money.
Was there any other matter that affected your husband during the period we're discussing?
No, but there was one other person who affected him.
Who was that?
Oh, well, am I allowed to mention names?
If they are relevant.
Oh, it's true enough, my lord. Anybody in the division could tell you. Inspector Deacon was making Bill's life a misery, and mine.
Inspector Deacon, the officer who is in court today.
Yeah, that's him there, in uniform.
Thank you. Now, I want to refer to an event which took place on the 16th of February.
16?
And that was the day Inspector Deacon came to call on you. In fact, I believe it's the last time he called on you.
Ah, yeah, I remember that.
Well, will you tell the court about it, please?
Well, there's not much to tell. About 6:30 it was, and I was expecting Bill home, and the doorbell rang, and when I opened it, there was Bill, and there was Inspector Deacon grovelling on the doorstep.
How do you suppose he came to be in that situation?
Oh, I can't really say.
Did you suppose that he'd been knocked down?
Well, he certainly wasn't looking for the front door key.
Indeed not, Mrs. Clegg. Did your husband go out again that night?
No.
You're certain of that?
Yeah.
And the next day?
He went out as usual in the morning.
And what time did he return home?
That was the day they were all up in the club. Everyone buying everyone else drinks. The super becoming a grandfather was their excuse for it. Not that they needed an excuse, but Bill didn't see it through. He came home about 8 o'clock.
He returned home at 8 o'clock on the 17th of February.
Yeah, but only to pick up his washing and shaving things, and then he went out again, and I didn't see him until late the following evening.
So he was away for 24 hours from the 17th to the 18th of February?
Oh, more than 24. He didn't return until after midnight the next night, and,
He was, in fact, away for a period of 24 hours or more from the 17th to the 18th.
Yes. Well, I wouldn't be sure about the dates, but it was about that.
Well, what you're saying, Mrs. Clegg, as I understand you, is that there may well be some confusion as to whether it was a 24-hour away period from the 16th to the 17th of February, or a similar away period from the 17th to the 18th. However, there is no doubt in your mind whatsoever that on or about the 17th, your husband did spend 24 hours away from home on official duty.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
Thank you.
Mrs. Clegg, considering the gravity of the charge, neither you nor your husband seem to have made much of an effort to get your dates straight. However, we'll make one further try. Now, I want to deal with a point that was raised in your evidence. You referred to withdrawals of money by your husband from your joint account.
Yes.
Without his telling you.
Yes.
Now, you say this happened on several occasions after May 1973. Can you recall the exact dates?
Ooh.
Well, the approximate dates.
Well, they all happened within a few weeks of each other. I only got to know about it when the statement came in at the end of the month.
Ah, which month?
February. Oh, it could have been March. Well, it must have been before May because it was... Well, it would have been holiday money.
Can you recall the total amounts of those withdrawals? Well, how much were you short on your holiday money?
Over £200. Well over. But that didn't all go without my knowledge. Some of it... Well, we were a bit hard-pressed at the time.
But there were, within 1 month, several withdrawals of substantial amounts made by your husband without your knowledge. Is that correct?
Yes.
£10 at a time?
No more than that.
Or £50? 100?
No, the most was 70.
Well, £70 is a fairly substantial sum. Did your husband say what he needed it for?
Yeah. He said it was to buy him a spotted promotion.
Ah.
Oh, that was only one of his jokes.
In earnest, then, what did he spend the money on?
I don't know. Well, I don't.
Well, what could he have spent it on? Did he spend it on clothing?
No.
Drink?
No.
Gambling?
No.
Other women?
No.
Well, we seem to have exhausted all the vices.
Well, and I can tell you what else he didn't spend it on. He didn't bung anyone. He didn't buy any favours. He didn't drop it into anybody's pocket, if that's what you're thinking. Whatever it went on, it must have gone on his work.
Really? Now, what expenditure, what legitimate expenditure does a detective officer have requiring such large sums?
Oh, only one, as far as I know, were paying their snouts.
You mean they're informants?
Yeah.
Yes, but if your husband had made such authorised payments, surely they would not have been made out of his own pocket.
Oh, sometimes, yes, instead of going through all the rigmarole, and then he'd get it back later through the funds.
And were these amounts recovered from the informant's fund?
Well, they must have been. How else did they get back in their account?
The amounts that you supposed had been paid out to an informant were eventually returned to your joint bank account?
Well, they didn't all come in at the same time. And then it took a bit of a while, and then it wasn't the exact amounts, not pound for pound. It's nearly all paid back, though.
Yes, I see. Mrs. Clegg, does the name Harry mean anything to you?
How?
Harry from the Smoke.
Oh, we know a couple of Harolds in London. One's an assistant commissioner at Scotland Yard, and the other one's my cousin.
Thank you, Mrs. Clegg. My lord...
Just one moment, Mr. Logan. Mr. Fry, do you wish to re-examine?
Yes, my lord. Mrs. Clegg, who pays your quarterly bills, rates, electricity, that sort of thing?
Oh, my husband does.
And when you go out for the evening, dinner, cinema, who pays them?
Oh, he does.
Does he buy his own clothes?
Once bought him a tie, never again.
So the amounts taken from your joint account could well have gone towards any of these expenses.
I suppose so.
Well, clearing accumulated household bills, paying off a temporary loan, covering a distant journey, while or any of these heavier-than-usual commitments might have occurred.
They might.
And the little that was left over could have gone into your husband's wallet to keep that healthy till the next payday. Is that possible, Mrs. Clegg?
It's possible. I can't really say. Well, he wasn't telling me at the time.
Thank you, Mrs. Clegg.
Very well, you may leave the witness box, Mrs. If you wish to stay in court, you may do so.
Thank you.
That, my Lord, concludes the case for the defence.
Very well. Mr. Logan, if you were to start your speech now, I think we might be finished this afternoon.
Yes, my lord, I've just received information which could have an important bearing on the case. It could even warrant an application to call further evidence. What I do need now, my lord, is an adjournment to consider the situation.
Yes, well, I'm waiting to hear your reasons for this somewhat astonishing request.
Indeed, my lord, this note just handed to me from Superintendent Walker gives the reasons in some detail. It also impresses upon me that it would not be in the public interest to disclose them in open court.
Not in the public interest, I see. What about the interest of the court?
But I am assured that anything stated in closed court today can be repeated freely in public when the court resumes its sitting tomorrow, but not before. My lord, if I might call Superintendent Walker to explain the situation.
Mr. Fry?
May I take it that if I agree to this explanation, it would not imply prior consent to the introduction of new evidence?
That would be the case, would it not?
It would, my lord. Indeed, I suggest that the matter should be dealt with for the time being in the absence of the jury.
Yes, very well. The court will now be cleared of everyone except the officers of the court and the defendant. If the situation does not justify our sitting in camera, I shall, of course, reopen the court.
Would the ushers please escort members of the public and the press from the court?
Yes. Superintendent Walker.
My lord.
I have not known one small piece of paper create quite such a stir since Mr. Chamberlain waved aloft the one that he brought back from Munich. Would you care to explain?
Yes, my lord, it has to do with a telephone call received this afternoon. It wasn't for me, it was for Inspector Clegg. But the caller said I would do, so I took it.
Yes.
Well, he babbled on for a bit. Then he made an important assertion, the truth of which, or otherwise, will be apparent tomorrow morning. He informed me...
One moment, was there no indication of the identity of the caller?
I'm sorry, my lord. He said his name was Harry from the smoke.
Join us tomorrow in the Crown Court for the final day of the Queen against Clegg. Detective Inspector William Clegg is no stranger to the courts. He's often appeared in the witness box giving evidence for the prosecution. But today, in the Fulchester Crown Court, the tables are turned. It is Detective Inspector Clegg himself who is the accused. He stands charged with obtaining money from police funds by deception. The witnesses for the prosecution are Clegg's colleagues, and these officers are well acquainted with the courts and their procedure. In the case of the Queen against Clegg, they are more than usually on their mettle, for Detective Inspector Clegg is no ordinary police officer. He drew £237 expenses on claims which were in error. Were these errors of confusion or deception? Did the money go into his own pocket? Was it used for unauthorized payment to an informant known only as Harry? At the close of the trial of William James Clegg, a request was made by the prosecution to introduce fresh evidence concerning Harry.
Mr. Logan, are you not going to produce your witness? He was ordered to be in attendance here at 10:30, was he not?
He may be on his way, my lord. It is only just 10:30, and there was, as your lordship heard yesterday, a vital matter of police investigation which had to be carried out before his attendance here this morning.
Yes, well, there's nothing short of quelling a revolution that takes precedence over the courts. I shall take a most serious view, unless... What is it, Mr. Logan?
My lord, I understand the witness is now here.
Superintendent, are you aware that you have kept the court waiting?
Yes, my lord, I realise that, and I do apologise.
Heavy traffic, no doubt.
Yes, my lord, you could say that.
Very well. Remember, you are on oath. Very well, Mr. Logan.
My lord. Now, Superintendent, you appeared before his lordship yesterday during an adjournment to consider the admissibility of fresh evidence for the prosecution, and his lordship ruled that it could have a bearing upon a possible motive for the offence of which the defendant stands accused. Would you now tell the jury how that fresh evidence came to your attention?
Yes, sir. A telephone call came through to divisional headquarters yesterday afternoon. The caller asked for Mr. Clegg. He was informed that Inspector Clegg was not available. He then said, all right, he would speak to me instead.
Did he ask for you by name?
No, sir. He asked for the top man.
And you agreed to accept the call?
Well, yes, sir, because, you see, the call was along the line that only an informant would use, and it had to be taken note of, especially when he said who he was.
How did he identify himself?
By his first name, Harry, and where he came from, London.
And you had previous knowledge of such an informant?
Yes, sir.
And this was in connection with a series of major bank raids by a team of criminals who have not yet been apprehended?
Who had not been apprehended, that's right, sir.
So you were therefore intensely interested in any information this caller could give you?
Yes, indeed, sir.
Now, will you now tell the court what was the gist of his information?
Yes, sir. My lord, this conversation was taped and a transcription taken immediately thereafter, if I may refer to it.
I see no objection.
The caller began by asking, where's Bill Clegg? My reply, he's not about. What do you want? He then said, listen.
Superintendent, go on. Mr. Logan, there are certain statements in this transcript which can require confirmation from the caller himself. Do you intend to produce him?
My lord, the prosecution has been unable to locate the caller. I am trying to establish that Harry does exist, and that certain circumstances relating to the call indicate that there have been financial transactions between him and the defendant.
Yes, well, parts of this document are plainly inadmissible hearsay, and in putting your questions, you must not refer to them.
Indeed, my lord. Superintendent, the caller made certain statements about past circumstances. How did these statements impress you?
I was more convinced than ever that he had to be listened to, that any information he could offer re the bank robbers would bear looking into.
And did he offer such information?
Yes. He said that, we would know by tomorrow morning, that's this morning, whether he, Harry that is, was on the level.
Yes, Superintendent, you may refer to the transcript from here on.
Yes, my lord. From where he said we would know by tomorrow morning.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, my lord. I then asked him, what's happening tomorrow morning? His reply, there's a caper on. The savings bank at the top end of Market Street. 9:30 as soon as they open. You'll know the team when you see them. All hard men, sheets as long as my arm. The fixer only got out a few weeks back, and they've been getting together since.
Yes, in plain English, Superintendent, he was telling you that there was a raid planned on the Market Street Savings Bank by a team of known criminals at 9:30 this morning.
That is correct, sir.
Well, it is now, Superintendent, 10:35.
Yes, sir. And I should like to make a statement without prejudice to any future action that may come before this court. There was an attempted bank raid this morning at the place and time stated. The thieves were prevented from carrying out said raid to a successful conclusion. A number of men are now assisting the police with their inquiries.
And that, I think, Mr. Logan, is all that had better be said relating to the contents of that telephone call.
Yes, my lord. My lord, I would now like to re-examine Superintendent Walker.
May I take it that you have no objection, Mr. Fry?
No, my lord.
Very well.
Now, Superintendent, you're still on oath. The court has already heard that 16 months ago, Inspector Clegg proposed a payment of £250 to a person identified in the same way as this caller.
That is correct.
And you rejected that proposal?
Yes, sir.
Now, do informers ever give information free?
Yes, sir. But in my experience, no informant would give this sort of information without a substantial something in his pocket.
Yes, if Inspector Clegg had made such a substantial payment off his own bat, how would he recover his money?
He couldn't, unless he could show some results.
And there were no results until today.
No, sir.
But if the pressures in the meantime were such that he could not afford to wait, was there any other way he could recoup his loss?
I don't know how to answer that, sir.
Well, was there anyone he could appeal to?
Apart from myself, no, sir.
And was it possible for him to recover his loss by making an equivalent increase in the amount of his expenses?
It would be possible until it was found out.
Thank you.
Mr. Fry, do you wish for time to consider this new evidence?
No, my lord, I've been given my instructions. They are, I may say, concise. Superintendent, you must be feeling very pleased at this moment.
Sir?
I hope I may refer to your efforts before arriving in court today as highly successful.
Yes, sir, you could say that.
Yes. And yet the success you claim is due entirely to one man, the defendant, Inspector William Clegg.
No. There were other officers played their part.
Oh, yes, I see that. Mr. Lewis, I see, bears the scars of his efforts. Nevertheless, had it not been for the defendant, for his foresight in sniffing out a hunch over a year ago, for his persistence in playing that hunch when you refused to allow him to do so, for his tenacity in remaining silent when one word would have eased his situation here, had it not been for all that, Superintendent, you would not now be congratulating yourself on having brought a gang of dangerous criminals to justice. Is that not the case?
Yes, sir, that is the case.
Yes. Now, you say that in your opinion, substantial sums had been paid in advance to Mr. Clegg's informant. How substantial?
I'm not able to say, sir.
Well, a sum of £250 has been mentioned. Could it have been less than that? £100, £50, even 10?
No informant's going to grass on a heavy mob for £10. It wouldn't be worth risking his neck.
Superintendent, were you at any time aware that the defendant had paid this informant out of his own pocket?
He never told me.
Well, what would you have done if you had known?
Nothing. If it was his own money, he could chuck it down the drain.
You wouldn't have done anything to help him make good the loss? I mean, Superintendent, by lending him the money, or even by offering to share the burden of the loss. He is, after all, your daughter's husband.
Any time he wanted money from me personally, he could have had it.
I see. He's too proud to take your money. Would he take your advice? Superintendent, have you at any time discussed ways and means of recovering such a loss?
No, sir.
Did you never? What? Oh.
Mr. Fry, are you finished?
I beg your lordship's pardon. I have no further questions for this witness.
Mr. Logan?
No further re-examination, my lord.
Very well, you may step down, Superintendent.
Thank you, my lord.
My lord, the defendant should now be recalled.
Yes, Mr. Fry, and I think it would be proper for the prosecution to put the questions first on points arising from the fresh evidence. The defence may then have the final word.
Yes, my lord.
Turn to the witness box, please, Mr. Clegg. You are still on oath, of course.
Yes, my lord. Mr. Clegg, you heard of the telephone call received yesterday from an informant identified as Harry.
Yeah.
And the court previously heard of your dealings with a person similarly named. Would they be one and the same person?
Well, it'd have to be, wouldn't they?
It has to be one and the same man. Why is that?
Oh, put 10p into a chocolate machine and what comes out is a 10p bar of chocolate.
As I understand your analogy, then, you put 10p in a slot machine called Harry, and what came out yesterday was the information you'd paid for, which led in turn to a successful arrest. It's a good 10 pennies worth.
I'd say so.
If it was 10 pennies, was that all you gave to Harry?
In a manner of speaking.
I suggest you gave him considerably more.
Not considerably more.
You
no.
asked for £250.
Yeah, but I had it refused.
Yes, did you consider that Superintendent Walker was wrong in rejecting your proposition?
I never said so.
But he was wrong, was he not?
Not by his lights.
But in the light of what has happened between yesterday and this morning, he was wrong, was he not?
Well, the facts speak for themselves.
The facts indeed speak for themselves. The Superintendent was wrong.
Dead wrong.
And why on earth should you have thrown away this opportunity of proving yourself, of winning back your lost promotion prospects, of dispelling the cloud cast upon your domestic affairs, of gaining a rank that would have compelled Inspector Deakin kindly to click his heels when he wished to speak to you? Now, why should you throw away the chance of bringing off the major coup that would have achieved all this just because of the hindrance of someone who was dead wrong?
I don't know. Why should I?
Because of the rules, Mr. Clegg. The proper procedure is that you do not pay out large sums of money to informants without the authorization of your senior officer. But you prefer to ignore proper procedure, don't you?
No, I bend the rules sometimes, yes.
Bend them or break them?
Oh, that's too fine a distinction for me.
Well, I'll endeavour to explain it to you. I suggest, Mr. Clegg, that you were bending the rules in paying your informant without authorization. You were breaking the rules in endeavouring to get your money back by a deliberate deception. Now, does that make the distinction clear to you? Or is it your contention that it's only criminals who break the rules? Police officers merely bend them. Yes, I've only one more point to put you, Mr. Clegg. In the light of yesterday's telephone call from Harry and this morning's successful police operations consequent on that call, will you now be putting in a claim for the money due to your informant?
No, I won't.
Why not, Mr. Clegg? Would it be that the necessary transfers of money from you to the informant and from police funds to you have already taken place? There's no further questions, my lord.
Mr. Clegg, there is, I believe, a basis of mutual confidence in all dealings with informants. You treat them square, they do the same by you. Is that correct?
With some informants, yes.
In order to gain their confidence, you must ensure that they have complete trust in your good faith.
Yeah.
Well, I intend to respect the nature of that trust and refrain from pressing you on any further details than we have already heard. That, I believe, is what you would wish.
Yes, it is.
There is also, I believe, a measure of trust between you and your colleagues.
Well, there has to be, isn't there?
Yes. In order to do your job, you occasionally have to bend the rules. In bending the rules, you must occasionally have their tacit consent.
Well, they sometimes might know of it, yes.
Consent which, if spoken openly by a senior officer, would amount to official approval.
Look, I'm not sure I
But which, in confidence, can be covered by the proviso, you do it your own way, lad, but on your own head be it. If you get found out, don't come hollering to me. Is that, in general, the kind of confidence which passes between detective officers? Or is it your wish that I should refrain from pressing you on that subject, too?
It is, yes.
Is it, in any event, your contention that these confidences have no bearing on the issues before us?
None whatsoever, no.
So the only reason for your expense claims being in error is your admitted failure to keep immediate and detailed records?
Yes.
Do you still claim that even allowing for individual errors, the sum totals that you recovered was no more than the sum of the amounts you had spent?
No more at all, no.
And you still claim that you have never intentionally recovered from public funds 1 penny more than you knew you were entitled to receive?
Not even a halfpenny, no.
Thank you.
Members of the jury, the task before you should not be difficult. Much of the prosecution evidence goes unchallenged. All that is challenged is the matter of intent. The defendant says, in effect, I did not mean to do it. Now, let us consider I did not mean to do it as implying that the defendant was under such stresses that he was not wholly responsible for his actions. But what were those stresses? Promotion deferred? Pressures of routine work, some domestic argy-bargying. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, which of you has not been subjected to similar stresses and I'm sure refrained from using them as excuses to commit crimes? Now, what possibilities does this leave? The defendant admits his accounting errors. Can it be that in his confusion he did not mean to make so many? Or allow the sum of those errors to amount to as much as £237? Or can it be that he did not mean to make his falsifications so clumsily as to be found out? Let's look at the evidence. A number of errors were found in the defendant's expense sheets, and when challenged, the defendant admitted that he had failed to keep accurate records of his actual expenditures, and you may well conclude that he in fact invented imaginary ones instead. We need surely go no further to establish the offence of obtaining money by deception. Which brings me to my main point. Is the defendant speaking the truth, or is he lying? Now, members of the jury, I ask you to draw your own conclusion from the additional evidence presented today. The defendant consistently denies that he ever made unauthorized payments to his informant, Harry, Yet that informant yesterday gave information of inestimable value to the police. Now, why would he do that unless he'd been paid? You may well conclude that that is one lie told by the defendant, and it may lead you to consider very carefully another statement in which he has persisted, that he had not obtained from police funds 1 halfpenny more than his full entitlement. Yet Superintendent Walker testified that the £237 was in excess of what the defendant could reasonably be expected to claim over the period in question. In 10 months, £237. That's £23.70 per month, more than £5 per week. Now, you may consider that a regular supplement to one's normal income and expense allowance of £5 per week could only be obtained by a systematic and deliberate attempt to obtain money by fraudulent means. Now, members of the jury, I submit to you that on the evidence there is only one verdict you can bring in, and that is guilty.
May it please your lordship, members of the jury. The crown of our legal system is that an accused man is not tried by a panel of experts whose understanding is limited by their strict interpretation of the law. He's tried by a jury of ordinary men and women who bring their varied experience to bear upon an assessment of the evidence. Now, I suggest that you do this, first of all, by considering that part of the evidence which is agreed by both prosecution and defence. The defendant does not deny that in making up his expense claims from memory, certain errors of amounts, of dates, and even of details may have crept in. You've heard his explanation of the stresses he was under at the time. You've heard in Superintendent Walker's explanation that even at the best of times, no detective officer is ever expected to keep the same meticulous records of petty cash expenditure as would be kept by a uniformed clerk in the comfort and tranquility of his office. Now, you will bring your common experience to bear upon your understanding of this, and if you find that a sufficient explanation, you need go no further to find the defendant not guilty of the offences as charged. However, let us suppose that you do go further to consider that part of the evidence which is in dispute, the defendant's insistence that whether he made up his expense claims in the cold or in the warm, whilst pursuing a dangerous criminal or safely back at headquarters, whether the details included 1 return ticket to Manchester or 2 singles to Salford, the total amount claimed was no more than the total amount spent. That is what he says. Now, you will bear in mind that you are bound to accept his word for that unless the prosecution can prove otherwise. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. And what evidence have they offered to the contrary? Simply that the defendant's expense claims were higher than those of an average detective officer engaged in similar duties. But, ladies and gentlemen, Inspector Clegg is not by anyone's account an average run-of-the-mill officer. Witness his foresight in pursuing a line of inquiry without the support of his senior officer, despite the burden placed upon him by that lack of support, despite the need to keep that burden to himself, until his persistence resulted in the successful police operation of which you have had intimation in this court today. Ladies and gentlemen, if the defendant's expense claims were marginally higher than those of his colleagues, I suggest it is because he was giving a better value than his colleagues, for every penny of that extra amount was spent in the vigorous pursuit of his proper duties. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall not try your patience any further. Suffice it to say that all the evidence points unwaveringly to a verdict of not guilty.
Now, members of the jury, I told you during the hearing that I would direct you on the law and would pay particular regard to the question of intent. Now, you have heard the defendant say that he did commit certain errors on his expense sheet. You have heard and you have documentary evidence of the extent of those errors. Now, that is not disputed. What is disputed is whether the defendant deliberately made those errors in order to obtain sums of money which he had no right to receive. Now, Detective Superintendent Walker testified that the total amounts claimed were considerably more than could be accounted for by the defendant's legitimate pursuit of his duties. That is a matter of experienced assessment, and you will consider it as such. You will also consider Superintendent Walker's further testimony. He said that he did not authorize payments to an informant identified as Harry. Now, did the defendant make payments to that informant from his private resources without authority? Did he then try to recover his private losses through public funds? Learned defense counsel implied that provided the money obtained was spent on police duties of any kind, then your verdict should be one of not guilty. That is only so if the expenditure was properly authorized. You may well want to ask yourself these questions. 1. Was the total amount claimed by the defendant in excess of what he had properly spent? 2. Was that excess obtained by deliberate deceit? Now, if you think beyond reasonable doubt that the answer to those 2 questions is yes, then your verdict must be one of guilty. If you should have any reasonable doubt, then your verdict would be not guilty. Members of the jury, will you kindly retire now to consider your verdict?
All stand. Members of the jury, will your foreman please stand? Just answer this question, yes or no. Have you reached a verdict on which you are all agreed?
Yes.
On the charge of obtaining money by deception, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Is that the verdict of you all?
Yes.
Thank you.
William James Clegg, your counsel has put forward the mitigating plea that you bent the law for what you perceive to be the justifiable purpose of enforcing the law. I cannot entertain that paradox. That is the first step upon a slippery slope that leads down to the excesses of the police state. You held a position of particular trust that must not be abused. The offences you committed were deliberate and prolonged, so were the lies with which you attempted to disguise those offences. There was no excuse for them, there was no need for them other than your own self-will. You will go to prison for 2 years.
You can join us again next week when our cameras return to watch another leading case in the Crown Court.